What compressor are you currently using as your main compressor in the box? Right, I'll tell you now. It's one that I have used a lot in the past. I step away from, I come back to it, I step away from it, and it every now and then comes back into my chain. And I have this now on every channel, every bus that I have, it's on, and I really enjoy it. And it is the Shadow Hills mastering compressor. Now, I've just put one in next door. It's not the mastering compressor, it's the Optograph stereo compressor. Now, I've put one into my other mastering studio, and it inspired me to kind of take another look back at the UAD version. And I say the UAD version just because, even though I've got a Mac Studio and it can run the hundreds of instances of the Plugin Alliance one, it's always nice to offload. And if you can, the code is exactly the same from what I hear, so it's nice to offload. I've got 16 chips of UAD chips to use up, so I might as well be using them. I've got the Ampex taking up about 12 chips, and I've got the other 4 is taken up by the Shadow Hills mastering compressor. Now, the great thing about that compressor is that it takes up 5% of a DSP chip per instance, which is nothing. So you can get a lot of instances in, and it won't take up much on your DSP, which is brilliant. So I offload that to the UAD cards, and the reason I've gone with that as my compressor at the moment is I've always loved it as my vocal compressor. It is one of the best vocal compressors you will ever hear. If you use the hardware, you'll notice it's just like, wow, this thing sounds incredible. I haven't yet tested it against the hardware. I did a long time ago. I tested the Plugin Alliance one against the hardware, and they were, there was differences, but it weren't massive. It wasn't. There was a relative difference, but going in the box, I like to use the Shadow Hills mastering compressor. It's got two sections. You've got the opto, and you've got the discrete compression as well. So you've got the best of both worlds, plus you've got the nickel, iron, and steel to flick between. So it's a really versatile compressor, and it just works great. It's so smooth. And my compressor that I used to use prior to this was the SSL 4KB, and I loved the SSL 4KB. But I started doing mixes with the Shadow Hills compressor when we got the Shadow Hills compressor, and we stuck it in next door, and I was like, wow, this compressor is something else. It got me back using it. I started using it, and I compared mixes with the SSL 4KB, which I love. I think it's a brilliant compressor that's on that channel strip, compared to the Shadow Hills version, Shadow Hills on the UAD. And the Shadow Hills compressor was a far better compressor, and it sounded far better for the way that I use it. So that's why I've now gone with the Shadow Hills mastering compressor as my main compressor in the box. My main compressor out the box, I like the SPL Iron. I'm not too keen on it in the box, but out the box, it's one of the best. It really is an incredible compressor.